Hi, beautiful souls. Welcome to Mind Is with Stella, your space for calm, clarity, and Christ centered growth. Today, we continue with part 4 of the topic Reincarnation. And I'd like to begin by asking you a question. Why do the Christian churches conceal the fact that there is reincarnation? What prevents them from telling believers this truth that there is a rebirth? For what reasons can they not tell people this? It is because from the ground up, they built on errors and they have kept on building. Should they begin talking about reincarnation, they will have to admit that somewhere they said something wrong. Do they want that? Well, it's not up to them to decide because the truth must prevail. The dogma of infallibility will then be called into question, and the whole edifice will come crashing down. So, they adhere to the old dogmas and try to cling on to them for as long as possible. But the time and hour is coming when these will no longer be accepted, when people will start to think things over with their minds, with their souls, with their spirits. They will begin to think, have a clear reasoning, have a healthy reasoning. They will uncover these errors. And what does it mean if fewer people attend these churches and uphold this coercive power? This power will then be called into question and fade away. But this will take time. It will take time. That is why we are not in a hurry. God is not in a hurry. God is not in a hurry. God takes time. It has not yet been 2,000 years since Christ's birth. Can you imagine? And what still lies ahead of human beings before everything has been spiritualized? That is, the plan of salvation. What lies ahead of human beings before the plan of salvation is fulfilled? Tell me, what lies? Billions of years. You will perhaps be astonished when I say, what do 2,000 years really count for? When compared to billions, they do not count at all. But since God's plan of salvation must progress towards a fulfillment, the way to the truth must be paved. And this will not happen overnight. No, it will not. Battles will be fought. God has also imposed a great test on Christians in earthly life. Far from God, they must decide whether they have the strength to stand by Him, to believe in Him, or whether they want to live in unbelief. For every single person, the time must come eventually when they summon the strength to acknowledge God, to believe in Him, and in eternity, and in eternal life. It is said in the Bible that God is spirit. Therefore, those who worship Him must worship Him in truth and in spirit. Ask yourself, do you really know what is the meaning of worshiping God in truth and in spirit? Would you really believe in worshiping God in spirit if you don't believe in eternity? If you do not believe in life after death, if you do not believe in eternal life, many people will be comforted in the difficult hours that follow the loss of a loved one. They will rejoice in heart and soul to know that their loved one has gone on ahead of him, simply waiting for them, and that they themselves can make the most beautiful preparations and may live in joyful anticipation of these future glorious world if during life they believe in God. For this glorious world is waiting to open its gates and receive the faithful. If everyone knew this, then we will not have so much tears when it comes to loss, because that is a path that everyone on earth has to go through. But it does not end just 6 feet under. No, there is life after death. Death is just but a shedding of the physical body. Death is just a process whereby the spirit in you that makes me want to talk to you the way I'm talking to you. It's the spirit in me that makes me talk to you. My free will, through the spirit, through the soul and mind, that is eternal. My spirit will never die. My soul will never die. People will be delighted to know that there is a glorious heavenly kingdom, a heavenly kingdom full of bliss for those who have kept God's commandments. God gave human beings His commandments to follow. You know, people think that it's easy to just disobey God's commandments and everything will go easy. No consequences. You kill, you maim, you blackmail, you lie, you become unfaithful, you break all God's commandments from the first one to the 10th one and think that you will not have any consequences. Believe me, there is consequence waiting for you. That is how it is. Heaven wants to open its gates and it wants to receive everyone. And no one on earth should be sad to see their death hour approaching. Nobody. Why should they? If you live in a world of impermanence, you live in a world that is not permanent, and perhaps you did some good, and the good that you did shall be richly rewarded. As much as we say the bad has consequences, you also have good that is rewarded, provided it was not done with a particular intent for calculated reasons. Whoever lived for God, whoever truly lived for God and His righteousness, they need only rejoice to be allowed to enter and to return into the kingdom of heaven. They should delight in this space, in the knowledge that their relatives have already taken up their place in the divine world and are making preparations for their homecoming. They should delight in the knowledge that these relatives are setting the table, that it will be ready for their return. Just like Christ said, "There where I go, you shall also come. I go to prepare a place for you." Isn't that what Jesus Christ said? This is Mind Ease with Stella, your space for calm, clarity, and Christ-centered growth.